We are live, people. Welcome. Hi, everyone. Gonna let everyone kind of roll in. Welcome, everyone. This is episode, it's kind of loud. Let me know, can you guys hear me well? I have a little bit of a migraine, so it's a very interesting moment. But we're gonna knock this out. It's gonna be amazing. Ooh. We're in my studio, that's why you have all this blue. And yeah, I'm excited for today's topic. Today we're going to be talking to a few amazing individuals in the industry. I see you, Julius. Who are black owned, who are brilliant, who have an amazing narrative, and I just want you guys to all discover them. Of course, this platform was given to me so I can just shake things up and kind of open the conversation for something that is new and dynamic and fresh. And I cannot wait to just kind of catch up with some of the great people. So one person is Olivia Ri'chard, I believe, is how we pronounce her last name. I could say Ri'chard, but Ri'chard. She is a model, an activist, an avatar lover. We're gonna talk about that. And I can't wait to get to know her. Then second, we will have Julius Poole, who is a casting director. He also has a fashion design background, fashion accessories background, and man of color, and has tons of experience. And we're gonna ask him about the other side of the industry as far as the casting and how that works. And then we're gonna move into my friend Treis, who I've known for a very long time. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting show. As a person of color, as a business owner, I basically love to discover different ways and ideas that can elevate other businesses and allow for me to just kind of give my insight to other clients and how they can improve and how they can be better. And I think this is going to be a good show because it's about business. So if you have questions, send them in. Let me know again if you guys can hear me. And yeah, we're about to get into it. I just want to see if Olivia is here yet. If so, please, Olivia, wave at me so I can see. And so if you guys have any questions, please be sure to send them. I'll try to catch them as they come in. I have a tons of questions as well. But if you have any questions, please throw them my way. I'm just scrolling again to see. We have Julius. Maybe I'll switch it around. Maybe I'll have Julius go first. Because you're here. Julius, are you ready? I'm going to hit you. We're going to go live with Julius first. And get Olivia next. And let me just make a note on my page because it seems like no one tuned in yet. Hi.
Hi.
What's up?
Can you
Oh,
hear me?
here Olivia's came in. Olivia, you'll be next, baby girl. What's going on?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Finally, we get
Can
to
you hear me?
chat after years. Remember, I was like, so tell everyone about yourself and your amazing history and experience.
Well, my name is Julius Poole. I started in the industry as a shoe designer for 8 years. I'm not gonna lie, I loved it, and then I started hating it. And then, believe it or not, one trip to Europe changed everything for me.
Wow.
And I would actually have to say, not only that, but also my experience in the early days of New York with the nightclubs. One person in particular, Brenton Brewster, used to have these moments where he would shine the flashlight down the hallway and ask for the models. Or say, okay, we're having a runway. So everyone started doing it.
Uh-huh.
The next thing you know, a couple of cocktails later, I would be doing it. And then I didn't know that certain model agents were watching me and actually said I should teach girls how to walk. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. And I already knew about Miss J, and Miss J and I are
Yeah, yeah,
friends. And I'm,
Jay. Yeah.
I can't do it, and I'm short and everything else. And Lord knows it happening. And it led to me working with a Japanese production company. It led to me actually working with designers, teaching girls how to walk, and then I just embraced casting and
So,
production.
so you went to the FIT like me, alumni.
Yes, I did. Circa 1987, I
What?
arrived from
You look
I arrived in
amazing.
New York in '87.
Wow, wow. That's appreciative. So give us some insight. We're gonna take our time with this one. I just did a post on my page so people know, like, come over to this one. Everyone thinks
Hmm.
it's like on my page half the time, and I'm like, nah, we're here. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about just like your perspective of what's happening right now in the world, and how do you
Uh,
see it shifting as a business owner, as a creative in the industry, and so forth.
hmm well, gee, where do we start? Because it's so funny. My mother, God rest her soul, actually said something. And it was, I would say, even 10 years before she passed away. And she said, my God, with the way that the things are going on in this world,
Right.
I hope I'm not alive to see it. And for some reason, I keep thinking about that.
Mm,
And whether it's the racism that we already have been dealing with since we were young,
right.
but it's just so in our face right now, or it's this pandemic that we're dealing with right now, which I thought I'd never ever see these biblical times that we're seeing right now, but here we are.
We're literally
But
sitting in it. It's crazy.
um, where do you want me to go with this? I mean, I don't think any of us really need to talk about the pandemic because already know what to do.
Yeah, we're in
That's
it.
a whole.
We're already in
I
it.
think
But
I was going to say, but I think what you want to talk about basically is racism in our time and in the fashion industry
yes,
is okay.
absolutely. And how do you go
I
about
think
um, kind of lifting others and the voice within the industry as a man of color?
um anytime that I've ever casted a project, anytime that I've ever casted a fashion show, I've always said we have to have some color in here and not just black folks, but also Asians, Hispanics, like let's mix it up.
What
And
does
there
the
have
world look
been.
like? You know?
And it's like, and if you really do think about it, I was interviewed a long time ago when I was still designing shoes by Time magazine. And I basically was talking about how certain designers would actually borrow street style. And let's be for real, street style has been such a huge part of the fashion industry. It's not even funny. And it's like, let's give credit where credit is due.
Right.
But you can't go around dressing people that are not people of color in street style when it's like, if you're going to represent, you need to represent. But this goes even further than just representing on the runway in terms of black models
Right.
or just models that are Asian, Hispanic. It's also behind the scenes too, because there are so many talented people that are hairstylists, makeup artists, like casting directors, like
Yeah.
just so many people being seen that actually have to, we have to allow our voices to be heard.
Yeah.
And I've been interviewed by New York Times about racism in the fashion industry. And I was like, I've been blessed in the fact that I've been at the right place at the right time to meet the right people. But then there are little things that you sort of pick up on that are racist comments that I do not like at
The
all.
underhand racist comments that you just kind of go, did you really just say that? And it's like, how do you
And
react to something like that? You know?
you know, you think it would end, but it's like, okay, fine, I get it. You think it's cute that you're saying that, but it's not cute that you're saying that. Um, a lot of people have said, you said that to a client, and I was like, of course I did. I was like, I'm sorry, but if you lose your integrity in who you really are you really doing a good job? Are you really?
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody needs to earn a paycheck, but seriously, if you're really,
Yeah.
if if I am this black African American casting director or somebody a face in the industry, if someone says something derogatory or racist, I have to call them out on it.
Have
And
to.
it's happened sometimes. It really has happened so many times. And for people who are just starting out, whether it's hair, makeup, it's like, okay, listen, we all have to get our foot in the door somehow in some way. But don't lose yourself and think that it's okay for someone to say something racist to you.
Right.
And I don't care who it is. It's just that I've actually said things to people, and some people with really big names. I will actually turn around and say, did you really just say
It's
that? Do
rude.
you really think? And this is just an example.
Yeah.
And I hate to, but sometimes you have to really break it down for the people to know. Someone actually said, "Oh my God, I just love your chocolate skin," or something to that effect. And I was like, first of all, don't point in my face and say that you love my chocolate skin. Actually, just say, "Oh, if you're gonna give me a compliment, you look beautiful."
Right.
When I tell somebody that, I'm sorry, if it's somebody that is a non-person of color, I do not say, "Oh, I love your milky white skin."
I'm
I'm
not a
sorry. That's
commodity. I am not you know, it's just so crazy because they also see us as commodities sometimes, and it's
right.
frustrating because you don't know how to react to it because we've been kind of brainwashed into thinking that it's okay, that it's acceptable because of the diaspora that we're sitting in, and I think that's like very good that you pull that out because it's so crazy. It's a
And
compliment. It's like
that's
a backhanded compliment. You know, it's like,
right.
like what do I
And
say? You know?
I think there are too many examples of too many things that have been said. I can't even, it's like by the time I finish, people will be snoring or like passed out with their mouths open because
Yeah.
we've all had these experiences. And then in terms of doing castings or in terms of being on set, I will look around and be like, my God, I'm the only person of color in this situation when I know for a fact that there are other people
Right.
that are out there.
Right.
And just the way that people speak to you, all of a sudden it has to be like, yeah, I'm gay,
Right.
but you don't have to every
Miss
single
Thing,
word out of my,
girlfriend.
you don't have to snap in front of my face and say Miss Thing, Miss Girl.
How are
It's
you,
like,
Miss
I'm sorry.
Thing?
I'm, I'm here on a job. I'm here on a job. I'm being professional. You don't have to all of a sudden get into a character or pretend that you're down in order to relate. You just don't need to do that. I'm sorry. It's just, to me, it makes no sense. Or talk about the latest black movie you've seen or the latest black song you've heard. It's like, okay, fine. If that makes you feel better, but let me tell you what does not make me feel good. That anytime that you have to bring something up like that, and this is not, this is, it can be personal, it can be business, but I know for a fact that all of us have dealt with that.
Yeah.
And then if we're going to talk professionally in terms of like having to do the castings and when we see models, please don't say that we only have to have one black girl and just throw in a black girl for the sake, or a black guy, or an Asian guy, or an Asian girl,
Right.
or a Hispanic girl, based on the fact that, oh, we have to have one person of, and
Who's the
send out
one
everybody else
person?
that,
Right.
exactly, it just doesn't work that way. At least with me, it doesn't work that way.
You know, you brought up something
Um,
really significant. Um,
and
the fact that
then
everyone thinks
I
it's a
really
cast.
did. I was under the impression that it would really, I was like, oh my God, I hope I didn't say something wrong. And then for some reason, the more I got into the industry, the more quiet I got. And the more I would
Mm,
just look at people, okay, this isn't right. If you're going to speak to me and be real about it.
right.
But every day, I think people of color face some sort of racist either comment, backhandedness, or something that is not like as if we should feel privileged to be a part of the industry. When in fact, most of the time, we're the ones that are, how do I say it? There are so many influences. I don't even know where to go in terms of
Mm.
the influences. I really don't.
Culture
Whether it's a
now
rhythm,
is our
whether
macro
it's a
culture
walk,
is
whether
us.
it's not.
You
Yes,
know,
right.
like everything
But
we created. You know.
I would just say if someone is being racist or if they're saying something derogatory, call them out, stand your ground, be proud of who you are. And I think it's not even about people not being proud of who they are. Don't ever feel guilty for telling people how you feel. Don't ever feel guilty about that. I used to be that way because I was sensitive and I come from a big black Baptist family.
Mm,
Second one, eight, and I'm the only gay one. But the thing that I've learned is to always maintain my integrity. Yes, we can have fun and we can, as we all put it, we can kiki, we can do all of that. We can have fun, but don't, you know, that's one side of me, but don't take my kindness and my silliness as a weakness,
Right.
or think I'm a character, or think just because I'm a person of color, I have to tap dance for you. Sorry, it's not going to work. It's just not. And even when I teach girls how to walk, oh, show me blah, 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 blah. Oh, you know how to walk, like, show me blah, blah. It's like, oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not here to be your Uncle Sam. I'm not going to tap dance.
Right.
I'm just not going to. I'm sorry. It's like, you already know what I
Jigaboo.
can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know what to do, but you know, the reality is I'm not going to do it for you just because you're so bored, and you're probably like with a bunch of people that are like, I hate to borrow this, but Janet Jackson, thank you for coming up with Rhythm Nation. But those people are probably coming from a rhythmless nation where they don't have anything better to do than to have us be the entertainers.
Yeah.
And it's like, enough already. Recognize us for who we are. We're not here to make you laugh. We can have a good time, but recognize the people that are creative. And there's so many people that I'm inspired by. There's so many people that are coming up that are just doing extremely well. But if you're going to be doing really well, give back. Give
You
back to the
have to get
community.
back. That's a must.
Support support the designers that are struggling. Support the makeup
Yep.
artists. Also, when it comes to like the hairstylists, they're the first ones that will know what to do with a black girl's hair. It's just support all these people and just uh, just just be you or do you.
Right.
Do you. It can be an ugly hill to climb, but it can be a beautiful one too,
As,
as long as you form the right team
yep.
and everyone is supportive.
And I think that's like the number one thing. Like, don't just go to the top and switch up your whole thing and not cast any people of color or hire people of color behind back of house to do the job. And I think
Right,
there's a lot of people, a lot of brands that I know that kind
right.
of forgot the DNA of like why they even got to where they are and the support system that they actually had. And
Hmm.
I'm glad you brought up so many topics that are so dear to me as far as like the caricature. I've turned down so many opportunities because they wanted me to be a Miss Thing, honey child, baby cakes kind of guy, and I'm just not him. I'm just not that person. I don't wear heels. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not me. I don't. Like they want
Right.
you Vogue? Do you Vogue? I don't Vogue. Like I'm not the guy. I'm a worker. I just do the job.
Okay, I can vouch for the fact that I've learned from some of the best, and
But that's
actually,
you
it
know.
wasn't if it was Willie Ninja being
Oh,
such a
Ninja, really
sweetheart.
Ninja's
Uh,
James.
and that's where I've actually learned how to vogue. The people that actually inspire me because when they did it long before.
Right.
And I'm sorry for if there's any person that is not a person of color. Madonna was not the
It was
first
not
one
the
to
first
invent it. Hate to break the news to you, but she wasn't. She
at
wasn't. And
all.
actually, to be quite honest with you, if you go back in biblical times, I think people were probably voguing back then. But back to the 1920s,
Yeah.
and the list goes on. I mean, yes, I can vote. Am I going to do a death drop at my age? No, because I'll never get off the floor. I will never get off the floor. They can call 911 and I'll still be there. I'll just ask, hand me a Pop Tart, but I'll never get off the floor. But anyway, those people that inspire me, the people that are just, you think about everything that comes to mind right now, what your mother taught you, what your grandmother
Yeah.
taught you, what you learned from James Baldwin, what you've learned from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., what you've learned from the last president that we had, Obama. Like the list just goes on to the things that you learn and embrace them
Yeah.
and just move forward. I really think that racism, Will Smith said it, racism is not getting worse, it's being filmed. All the stuff that people are actually learning about right now, we've already known and we've
Yep.
been dealing with ever since. Don't all of a sudden say, oh, it's getting worse, because for us,
Because now we
we
got
are
this.
new.
You know,
We
to
just
call
didn't
you out,
have,
Karen.
we didn't have the camera.
Yeah.
We didn't have, we didn't have that. And now that everyone does, this is the reason why we're seeing everything that's happening. It's like, okay, now you see it. Do you believe it?
Right. And what are we going to do
Here we,
about it? Because now you have people who are using it as a marketing scheme or a way for them to capitalize on it, and that's so
yeah,
frustrating. And it's like, yo, you haven't tried to book anyone of color, you haven't casted, it's like this weird paradigm that's starting to shift, and we have the opportunity to actually call them out for the BS.
right.
And that's the best part about where we are now. I say burn it to the
And,
ground.
and the thing is that, and even for the people that are my friends and my true friends that are people that are non-people of color. I love them and I embrace them, and they understand the amount of the apologies that I hear.
Mm,
I mean, I know who my true friends
right.
are. And another thing that I love is that they actually get it when I say my skin color, my cultural background is not a trend. Just because you see all of this, yeah, that little black square, some of you did it because you thought, oh, it's social
It's
media, I'll probably get a lot of likes. But the thing is, it's like the follow-up is like, no matter how many editorials or ad campaigns I cast, I will still interject, okay, back onto the subject of racism and the things that need to
right.
happen, that need to change. And if it's not going to change, we still need to stand our ground and make our voices heard. And people
Absolutely.
hate. It makes me laugh because this is just one example. And someone said, oh my God, Eddie Murphy is so funny. And this was back in the day. Eddie Murphy's so funny. Oh, he makes me laugh. But then they were like, Denzel Washington, he's just too serious to me. I was like, oh, I get it. You are scared to death the
Of
moment
a
that somebody
regal.
serious.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't stand when we're serious because you realize that, oh, okay, this person is no joke. When in fact, you think that we're all comedians. And I actually thought about that and I was like, wow, isn't that quite something?
Right.
It's really quite something what people actually perceive of us. And it's like, well, guess what? Now that we have these cameras, now that we're here to tell our story, we're not joking. We can laugh, we can have a great time, but
Now
don't
we can
forget
call
to
your
take
ass out.
serious. This can go anywhere.
Yep.
I mean, those video cameras can go anywhere. They can go backstage at a fashion show. They can go on set at a fashion show. Little snide comments and all of that are not to be taken lightly anymore.
Nope.
And people are like, oh, why are you so offended? And it's like, because we don't say shit like this to you. Sorry
And
for
if we
swearing, but
did, it'll be
we don't.
curtains for us. You know what I mean? Like it's so true. The double standards in society that spills into every industry that we're in. You know?
Yeah, it's just, I, I don't want people to lose themselves or to lose faith in their creativity, how much they want to be a part of the industry. It's just that, yes, it exists big time in the fashion industry. Racism does exist in the fashion industry. It really does. And it's like all of a sudden, don't throw 20 black models on your runway. And then next season, it's like, wait a minute, what
We're not a
is
trend.
is he or she under the stage?
Right.
It's like,
You forgot all
no, no,
about
no.
them. So closing
Yeah.
statements. So what what do you want to say as a closing statement as far as where we headed next? Like where do you feel we can go next?
Um,
Sorry, I'm just like I was talking to you. And I was like, wait,
no,
you
but
know?
no, that's okay. I would say where we should go next is embracing. If no one's going to embrace us based on who we are, then we need to embrace each other. We need to start supporting each other. We really do.
Absolutely.
Um, I don't want to be the only black person on set. I don't want to be the only black person behind the scenes. I just don't. It's like, and it's not to say, okay, I want to uh, come one, come all because of your skin color. I'm saying
There's some quality
those
there. Yeah.
those in the industry need to come together.
Yeah.
Those people of color need to. And if there's somebody that's younger and they're looking to aspire to be in the industry or be a part of it, don't. I think we've been taught to try to fight against each other. I don't understand
Crabs in the
that.
barrel thing.
And exactly, like, okay, there's one black person in the group, and so many of my friends have said it, and we'll look at each other and we'll all have this discussion. And it's just really about staying true to who you are, um, embrace each other, and above all, just have fun. Because what we do in the fashion industry, we're supposed to be having a great time. We're supposed to uh, make things beautiful, make things colorful, make things just
Absolutely.
worthwhile. So
Yeah.
people go back years after and say, "Oh my God, I'm so
For the
inspired by that
moment. Yeah.
fashion show." So I would say be true to yourself and to embrace those people of color, whether they're Black, whether they're Asian, whether they're Latino, embrace those people of color. That's the most important. And moving forward, it should just be that way. More diversity, more, um, just, I think people will get along better if they just embrace the difference in the cultures and the backgrounds. Not everything is, and forgive me for saying this, not everything is lily white. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
And obviously, you can see that because they're inspired by what other cultures can bring to the table. So it's really about embracing diversity. That should always be the case. It should never, ever be. And my closing statement is that once again, we people of color are not a trend. We are not a trend. We're not. I'm
Period.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's just if you're looking for a trend, you can probably find it on some Kardashian show, and that is the truth. That is actually the truth. But for me, people of color, we are not a
We've
trend.
been here, and I
We're
think
not.
that's what people forget. Wow.
No.
Well, thank you. We got to really talk. We were supposed to connect years ago, and now we did quickly, but we're
I
gonna
know.
connect offline and really coordinate and really connect. And I'm so grateful for you coming on. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
well, thank you. Even though it's COVID-19, it's like I'm in Europe right now and I can't get back to the States, which is fine because it's all good. It's okay. But this meant a lot to me. So I was
Yeah,
like, if it's about my voice being heard and for those who can't speak, then hopefully this will help introduce the change that should have happened years ago,
absolutely,
decades ago.
absolutely. And we're gonna make sure we have you tagged and everything, so everyone can find you and discover and follow. And thank you so much for coming on and being early. I know, sorry, Olivia, you're next. Sorry, baby girl. But I was like, wait, I'm just gonna hit Julius real quick. But yeah, thank
Okay.
you so much for everything. We're gonna connect. And yeah, speak to you in a bit.
Well,
And
thank
get
you
home
for
safe.
having me.
No,
Huh?
get home safe too. You're out there.
Oh, it's all good, but thank you very much. And thank everybody for listening, watching. Thank you.
Later. Speak to you soon. That was amazing. Julius is we've been talking for a while on DM, and I finally got a chance to circle back with him today, and that was a wonderful conversation. I'm sweating like crazy. In my studio is no AC pumping yet. So shirt is wet, background's blue. Let's see. Let's see if Olivia, if you're on, can you wave at me so I can find you? There's so many people in our chat. I can't find you. Sorry, guys. There's a lot of people in today, which is good. Trying to see if Olivia's in. Let's see. Can you wave at the kids? All right, there you go. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Hey!
Hi.
Thank you for coming on. Sorry,
No, it's okay. I was like, I'm here.
I just hit him. I was like, yo, she's here, she's here.
Yeah.
That was a wonderful, transition because, Julius is a respected casting director and producer in the industry. And,
Yeah.
And then we have your perspective.
I was really happy to hear his perspective. Honestly,
He
he had a lot
killed
of
it.
points. He had a lot of points that I wrote down, and I was like, listening, like, yes, roll them out.
He killed it. So give everyone some insight over you and who you are and your perspective and your world. Let's start off with where are you now? In New York City?
No, I went back to, I'm in North Carolina right now.
Okay.
And I've been here since March, so I haven't spent most of the situation in New York at all. So.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
You got some air.
Well, now I want to go back. Now I want to go back.
Everything is starting to shift back here,
Yeah.
which is great. But yeah, break it down. So
Okay.
how have you been mentally, creatively, professionally?
Well, okay, so I've been okay. I think I've been better. I've been modeling for about 4.5 years, and I believe I started when I was like around 22 or so, which I think some people would view as like, oh, that's a good age to start. But I had a lot to learn socially, and as a 22-year-old, I really struggled with finding my voice modeling in New York. I found it really hard to tell people that's racist, that's not okay. I won't stand up for that, or I won't stand for this. And because of it, it took me about 3.5 years to get to a point in my life where I said, if I'm not going to have it in a way where I get respect and my people of color get respect, I don't want to be a part of it. It took me 3 years, and I was already 22. So I can't imagine what it would have been like for a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old girl who was darker than me to come to this industry and not be able to speak up. And I just can't imagine how hard it would be for them to say, that's not okay. I don't want to hear that from you. You know, like, I feel that my biggest thing about all of this is in the fashion industry, I don't like how women of color are fetishized. I don't like how, in order for us to be interesting, we either have to be mixed or the darkest color.
Dark.
The darkest color you can get.
And it's like,
but it's like the black.
What about the girls in between? Right.
The black people of color are beautiful in every shade of brown.
Absolutely.
It makes no sense for you to only want people who look like me or lighter, or women who are so dark. I'm not saying they're not beautiful, because they are, but it's not an accurate representation, and it promotes colorism that just trickles down into our society, where we're all fighting each other for what makes us beautiful. We're fighting each other for, you know, our different types of blackness, and it's so frustrating. I have so many black model friends, and that's something that I think everyone will tell you in the industry. Every black model knows each other. We all know each other. And it's like, we want to be nice to each other, but you walk into a casting and you're like, all right, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got.
There's too many of us here. Too many of us in this room.
You know, and you're like, I'm not talking to nobody because I want this job. And it shouldn't be that way, because there's 5 black models, and then you look at all of the non-people of color models, and they're so relaxed.
Chilling, loving, yeah.
It's frustrating because for them, it's like, well, it doesn't matter if I don't get this job because I'll get another job. Right. That's not how it is for black models. We are seen as an accent, no matter what. I think it's very disgusting that we have a season.
Yeah.
Black models are only a thing in the summer.
Summer, yep.
Spring, that's when they want to see our melanin. That's when they want to see us pop.
It's
but in the winter, we're fighting for jobs.
Which it should, you know, when you think about it, it's like, why I say this all the time, do you not know black people have been here for the beginning of time? Like, we should be, represented in every season there is, because we've already been here.
But, you know, I want to brush on something that I don't think a lot of people understand. There is something inherently wrong. And this is, Julia said this too, and it really hit hard. There's something inherently wrong that when you see a black model, you have to bring up something black. That is a microaggression without them realizing it, because you're automatically separating them in your head. When you see a white person, when you see a non-person of color, you don't bring up something like that. You just don't.
Country music, or
you don't do that. So why is it in their head when they see you, they have to bring up something of color? They're already separating you. Yeah. And it just trickles down into everything that they do. When they're casting you for a job, they're like, okay, so let's get representation. So let's get 2 different colors, and that's enough. In my opinion, if we want to change, it should be, okay, well, book us like how you book the white models.
Yeah. I mean, we are beautiful. We're here. We're healthy. We're able.
We're there, and there's so many of us. I feel like the fashion industry and just the industry in general, they make it seem as if there's not that many people of color. But I mean, have you seen New York?
Exactly.
Go to Brooklyn. That's where all the models are anyway.
It's scary, because it's like, when does it change? And I feel like after this chapter where we're in, that we have an opportunity and an obligation to basically speak up when things like this happen. Like when you walk into a casting, I know you want the job or whatever it is, and you see that there's not enough people of color being represented, or you know they're not going to cast anyone of color because of whatever this role or whatever the casting director is looking for. And I feel like it's our responsibility to call them out.
Yeah.
Like,
something else that he said that I wanted to, that I really, it's a very much a thing. I'm from the South, and the idea of tiptoeing around your blackness so that everyone else is comfortable is it's a way of life.
right.
And coming to New York and coming into the industry and having to tiptoe again
Yep.
is preposterous. It makes no sense.
Right.
I shouldn't have to tiptoe around it for you to feel comfortable. You shouldn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
If I have to tiptoe, you shouldn't feel comfortable. And I've lost a few jobs having to say what I had to say. I've gotten labeled as difficult, I think my first 2 years modeling, because
Right.
I just wouldn't let it slide. And just like he said, I at one point just didn't want to do it anymore, because it's like there's no winning, because the way that they are portraying black models, it puts us against each other.
Right.
And so you don't even get to have that support group because you don't want to be butting heads with them.
Yeah, right. So I think what I think could happen is, what if we start some kind of like group council, like all these
Yes.
models and
Oh my God.
everyone is kind of interconnected, and like no matter what agency, no matter what, you kind of like are in a circle of family in a way, to kind of make sure we are supporting each other, we're in the same rooms together, and that can be
I
really
think
beautiful.
black models need counseling.
Yeah.
And let me say this I want to say this as well as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and this is something that I really want to hit on.
Mm-hmm.
I am a light-skinned woman. And it still didn't, I still wasn't excused from this. So when you think about me, and then you think about someone who's possibly medium toned or darker,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much worse for them. As a light-skinned woman, I was looking at myself in the mirror saying, I know that I love my blackness. I know that I love who I am. But every time I'm in a casting, every time I got a job, I'm surrounded by white women. So inherently, I'm looking in the mirror saying, I don't want to look like them, but I don't like the way I look anymore.
Right.
Because they told me that it's not enough.
Right. Oh.
So now you got to think about that. If I don't think I'm enough, they don't think they're enough. And now you're going to castings and you're diminishing your blackness because you don't want to, you're diminishing it. You're putting on lighter foundation.
Yeah.
It's really toxic in a way, and it needs to be fixed. And they have to understand. That's why I feel like black models need counseling, because you love yourself when you come in, but when you get compared constantly and then you naturally do it anyway, it just beats you down, and you just start really hating everything about you. And I know that like I said, it took me a long time to get to the point where I said, no, I'm black, I'm beautiful. My people of color, other models are also black and beautiful. There's nothing wrong with us. There's something wrong with how you're approaching the situation.
Yep. The vision too,
yeah.
Maybe agencies should start having that as part of the package, right? Saying, you're a woman of color, let's do counseling, and also make sure and make an effort to connect the other people of color within the industry, within not just the industry but their agency,
right?
Just so they can feel more connected. And
right.
I think it's possible. I think it's possible. And like being a designer, or a person on the other side of it, right? When I had my line, I was constantly looking for women of color.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't find any, because they didn't send me any. And I was like, I want a dark girl. I want a medium toned girl. I want a bronze skinned girl. And I would never be able to get them, ever.
Well,
and it was frustrating for me. And I was like, this is not fair. So I casted diversity, but using Asian and more dark.
They make it so hard. It makes no sense. Why are you fighting progression?
Yeah.
Why are you fighting it? If I'm telling you what I want, if I'm giving you money, if this is a business deal, give me what I'm asking for. And so
I'm a man of color. I'm like, I want to see some brown girls. I want to see.
And then the thing is,
and
I was so angry. I'm getting heated.
I'm
So
sorry.
angry.
Listen.
No, it's okay. I get so angry because one of the things I think I posted about, and I've heard from girls, and you know what's interesting is that no one that I know will ever speak up openly about it. Medium tone girls, in my opinion, get crapped on. You know,
Yes.
like it's so weird that a medium tone girl they're not black enough almost. You know, they're not at that point where they're light enough to be exotic.
Are you exotic? Are you from Sudan? Are you?
I'm African American.
Yeah. Oh,
Why
okay.
does
Well,
that
thank
even matter?
you. It's always that.
You know, I have a friend who always says, you know, I'm black as fuck. That's what she says. And that's that. That's period, end of it. And it's frustrating because why do you have to fetishize one side? Like, why does it have to be something different? And that goes into the topic of I wanted to say, this is something that I think a lot of models wanted to talk about and never say it. When you go into a casting and they ask you, what are you mixed with? I would like to know the purpose of that question. Because they never use it in any of their campaigns or any of the jobs that we do. You don't put it out there.
So why are you worried?
Asking for?
That's deep. Did you guys hear that? Did you guys who was listening? Did you guys hear all that? Like that is
why?
Yeah.
Because it just seems like it's for perks. It seems like you're asking because you're trying to find out what's interesting about you. Because me as myself isn't interesting enough. And me, I'm adopted. I don't necessarily know. I know that my family is black. That's all I'm going to say is I'm black. It is what it is. But when I tell them I'm adopted, they get uncomfortable. And I'm like, you should be uncomfortable asking in the first place. This is a personal question.
Period. Right.
It's a personal question.
Work. Right.
What's the intention behind it? And they're it's microaggressions. Yeah. And it's just, that needs to be dead. Like that needs to stop.
Wow. Okay. So what is your closing statement to the industry? Just don't.
Okay. I gotta think about it.
That's what we use this for.
My closing statement is that if we want change, I think that it needs to start with, frankly, I mean, I agree with what he said about people of color, but since he already said that, non-people of color, you need to check yourself. I think that you need to stop only promoting black models in a way that's only going to promote colorism, and that's only going to pierce against you. If you really want to change, if you really want black models to matter and black lives to matter, you have to start promoting us as if we do matter, which means that we are not an accent. We are not a trend. We are not just something for the summer. We are here, we've been here, and we will stay here. So that's my end statement.
Woo! You heard it. Listen, Olivia, thank you so much. Did I say your last name right?
It's Ri'chard.
Ri'chard. Oh my, I was like, Ri'chard.
It's okay. That accent throws everybody off.
Ri'chard. Boom, done. I'm never gonna mess it up again. I appreciate you, and I am so grateful for you to come on here and speak your truth. And that's what this is all about.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy that I was given this opportunity and I could even just speak, even if it was for a minute, just to let people know.
You do this more, you know. When do you come back?
Whenever they let me back. I don't know.
I think eventually I'm gonna have like a dinner with all the guests I've had with on One Live and kind of like have everyone intermingle and interconnect. And I'm gonna make sure I follow you and all that on my personal page. And thank you again for your time. I appreciate you. Stay healthy.
You too. Stay safe. Wear a mask.
Wear a mask. Wear a mask, baby.
Wear a mask.
Even though it's hot, wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And be in touch. Thank you so much again for your time, your words, your insight, and everything.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
Later. So amazing. So this whole thing is so insightful because we're getting 3 different perspectives. You know, we started off with, Julius, the casting director. We got Olivia being an actual model, and now we're moving into an actual brand, black owned. We have Treis here. What's up, man?
Hello. What's up, Jerome?
What's up,
Jerome?
I have a headache, so you gotta
I got it.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Following. Treis is the man. I've known him for too long, and because I was a teenager. And yeah, give them the insight. I always let my guests tell them what, tell the world what they're about. I'm not saying,
Yeah, I mean, I'm been a partner at A Life streetwear brand since 2005. Before that, Jerome and I worked for I guess Kamora Lee, Jerome, and then Russell for me, who I used to hold proudly saying that I was working for Russell. Nowadays, I kind of,
like,
yeah, I'm like, you got
do I
some.
stay in? Do I not? It's
Yeah,
like,
you got a bad rep, Russell. But whatever. I'm here, and a black man in America, navigating through these choppy waters that they've always been. But now we've got people's ear, and we're kind of we're mobilizing and taking action. So it's an exciting time to be inspired to live in this moment.
yeah. So let's jump into it. So you guys you guys did a really cool series of sweatshirts and everyone was going crazy over
Yeah,
here. It
yeah,
was right before the crazy shift in the planet basically
yeah.
happened. So like give them some insight onto like what drove you to basically produce those amazing sweatshirts. So for those of you who don't know, Elif produced a series of sweatshirts that covered really significant people of color throughout history. And yeah, Trey, break it down.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So probably like 3-4 years ago, being, Jerome, you know me, I'm not one to. I grew up around race, and I think being, I'm 40 years old now, but like being of my age, you always see it, but I try not to pay attention to it. So I know it exists, and I've always been, real with myself to know that racism is real. But like I've got friends of all different, varieties and diversities, and that's, for me, it's never been a big deal. But like, probably 3-4 years ago, I reflected on kind of the industry and seeing everything happen. It's like, I have to do personally more with my platform, my brand, to help just bring about a voice and let people know through education in our apparel and our designs that there's other people out there in the world of color that are doing things, right? Or that did do things. So, we started off and we did the first one was, I think 2 years ago, we did a piece with Faith Reingold, working with the Brooklyn Museum. Faith Reingold, an amazing artist, and she's done really, really good work. So we kind of worked to highlight her contributions to society by putting it on, streetwear and apparel and T-shirts, and that was great. And we were able to teach kids who Faith Reingold was, right? I mean, a lot of people don't know. I mean, I bought a book for my 5-year-old son called Tar Baby. He wrote this book, which is like, in New York, when people go to the beach, a lot of times in the Bronx, they go to Tar Beach, right? Or like, and people might not know what Tar Beach is. I was actually speaking to a friend of ours the other day, and she's like, Tar Beach, what's that? We call it Sunset Beach. I'm like, you're new to New York, but Tar Beach is...
You're new.
Yeah, Tar Beach is where, people in Harlem and Bronx, they go to the beach. Like, that's their beach. They go to the top of their roof, and they're tanning on, Tar Beach. But anyway, Faith Reingold made this incredible book. Circle back to the year later, I'm like, you know what? Everyone always talks about, Martin Luther King, who's a phenomenal human being. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Everyone talks about Malcolm X. Of course, Malcolm, right? But like, and I think recently, James Baldwin's been getting a lot of credit. So, I was like, you know what? I need to educate people on those African-American leaders that were pivotal and critical into what our society is today in American history, and let them know, like, these are other people, right? So we did a hoodie with Claudette Colvin, who a lot of people don't know and would never know. But Claudette Colvin is the original Rosa Parks, right? Like, Rosa Parks was a civil rights activist. She was phenomenal as well, but she didn't sit on the bus. She wasn't tired. It was staged. It was a PR performance because 8 months prior, Claudette Colvin was 15 years old, or maybe 16-year-old, pregnant, and the NAACP said, the optics don't look good for us to use you as the person to kind of be the champion for the boycott. In comes Rosa Parks, and Rosa Parks now is forever, right? The person with this thing. Claudette Colvin is alive with us today. She's here. She was so young then. She had a baby out of wedlock. In the 60s, it wasn't happening. So she was forgotten about, right? No one knew about her except
Right.
for, our parents and that generation. And I wanted to highlight her. I wanted to highlight Stokely Carmichael, who, through SNCC and through Black Panther Party and whatever else, was a radical, individual who attended Howard University, and no one knew about him, right? So, Marcus Garvey, and these are all people that, like, I grew up
Educating
were,
them. Right.
yeah, they were my heroes. And if you look at it today, a lot of white people don't know, right? I mean, they don't know these people. I mean, I was in a corporate environment recently, and one of the CEOs said to their group, their network, you know what? I advised my entire company to watch 13th, right? The documentary by Ava DuVernay, and this was a month ago, right? So I'm saying, great that you're telling, like, but 13th has been Academy Award winning documentary. Why are you guys so late on watching it anyway, right? Like,
Because there's a thing that I discovered recently, not recently, maybe 10 years ago. I remember being in line at the movie theater on 14th Street with my partner, and right in front of us were an older white couple, and they said, this is this movie, this is that movie, this is that, and then there's always that black movie. That's how they see it. It's this whole idea of us and them separation. Why would I see it? It won't. It's gonna be. It's gonna be less than. It's gonna be this idea that it's like it doesn't appeal to me because it's not about. It doesn't look like me, or the director's not. So it's this whole idea of us and them, and it stays in the back of my mind because I will never forget it. I was like, oh my God, and I remember looking at my partner and saying, they just said that black movie.
yeah.
I know people say, white movie, but it's like the way they said it was like, and then it's always that black movie.
Yeah.
It made me realize, like, you really don't value black art, and that's the reason why there's always been less publicity for black directors and black this. But sorry, that's me.
Well, not these days. I mean, I think that's finally changing, which is great. But I think it's education. I mean, not even think. I know it's education. I have to do my job educating, but like what I found out the last 2 months is that white America isn't educated on their own country, right? So Black history, Indian history, Native American history, their history, like, how did you even get here? Like, you think this is your country, it's not, right? Like, you think this land is not. So we as a country, right, if we're going to kind of be unified, have to kind of to know more about. I need to know more about white culture. I need to know more about black culture. I need to read more books, right? I need to do a better job. I pride myself on being well read. I think, the other day I bought this book. It's called Without Sanctuary, but it's like a $300 book, and it's sad that this book even exists, right? The book is a culmination, a curation of all the lynchings in America, right? So it's super powerful. You'll be in tears drinking it. I mean, watching it. You can drink wine and like look at it, but like, it's the most powerful. Like, why is this even a book? But like, you need to not forget it. You need to understand that these white men thought.
Say it again so people can know.
The book is called Without Sanctuary. It's rare. It's not in publication anymore. So like, you can either get it on eBay or like, if not, it's probably like $285 Without Sanctuary. But like, this book, these white men not only felt it was okay to hang black brothers,
but also
document, right? And right,
take a picture and smile.
And that was okay. So you have this history where it's like we need to know why they felt that way. They need to know why, and then we need to correct those wrongs. And I think, it's slowly happening. Listen, I think thank God for COVID, to be honest. It might sound ridiculous. I'm not saying, people died, so whatever, but people had to pay attention. You can't go watch football games. You couldn't go play baseball. You had to watch and pay attention to this young brother's neck being crushed for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And if that didn't happen, if we didn't have COVID, probably it would have been like, like whatever. Because it happened.
Like all the killings that's happened prior.
Yeah, absolutely. It happened to them. And now, my frustration has always been kind of the companies, right? And specifically, I'll speak to the companies that I work with closer with, which is Adidas and Nike and Asics and Reebok and Fila. Like, the switch turned on, right? And the number one responsibility for any company, the number one job is, one, to make profit, right? And it's two, the second is to limit your liability. right? And that's every job, I mean, every company's job to do. And the only reason they're really engaged at this moment is because all the lawyers penciling around in the sharks are looking at it like, if we don't jump on this, we have extreme exposure at the moment.
Yeah.
And that exposure is more detrimental to our bottom line, our profit, if we don't do something, right? And what do? You know what Nike says? Let's put this amazing wall of fire moat around us and come up with a video. And, oh, yeah, Adidas is going to retweet it. And everyone's going to think that it's cool. But they didn't really do anything. Nike donated $100 million over 10 years. That's $10 million a year. That's nothing, right? Like,
Nothing.
it's nothing. I mean, like, so the money that they're giving means nothing. Like, I would rather, you know, Nike said, you know, demanding real change and radical change. And now you get Black at Nike, right? Which is like, you know, they're coming out and people in work are like putting things out there. And like, I'm not here to bash Nike or Adidas. I'm just saying do better, right? But like, to do better, Adidas would know not to do the things they shouldn't do if they had Black leadership, right? And they don't.
That's the most important thing, you know, and not having that voice at the table saying, no, this is not good. No, you can't do that. Or no, you should hire more. Is what we need. We don't have enough people power in these places. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, and I think that we're a long, long way away, you know, but I think, you know, we all, you know, you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? So, you know, we'll see. Hopefully this is, I think this is the catalyst. You know, right now we're not living in the 60s where we have a Martin and a Stokely and a Malcolm. We have to me, we have this social media platform. And, you know, I think Will Smith was quoted saying it's, you know, racism is the new, it's just being filmed. But like now we have these tools. You and I have the ability, and all the young, the leaders that just came on earlier have the ability to be like, to speak and talk. And, you know, we need to kind of bring our youth up, because it's not me, Jerome, you're not 16 anymore. It's our youth that are going to have to kind of help. We have to help uplift, and they're going to have to start to take the baton. And it's not just our Black youth, but like white youth, like, you know, Asian youth, like everybody. We're one people, and you know, it's going to take a lot, but we can do it. We've done far greater, you know.
So we have like a few minutes. Yeah. So what is the closing statement? I mean, that's what everyone at. So like, how do you want to drop this mic right now?
I don't know. I mean, so I would say, so this, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because you know, again, I think it's, how do we eliminate ignorance, right? So, you know, this past weekend, July 4th, I went to upstate New York, and I decided to go on a river with my friend who's Black female with dreads, and my friend, her boyfriend, who's in the Roots band, right? Like phenomenal, plays music where the majority of people, white people, watch the Tonight Show, right? And we're on this river in the middle of upstate New York, which is Trump country, believe it or not. And my 5-year-old son in the middle of a river, and we're being Black Lives Matter, right, dude? Right? Or, you know, or proud day to be in America on a river, right? Like they're just waiting to kind of come
racist.
And and just kind of trigger off.
Waiting to be assholes.
Right. You know, and I'm saying to myself, you know, but like I left it alone. I'm not trying to, you know, get in a situation, you know, as we see, like being on a river is dangerous enough. But like, how do we educate that group of people, right? Like and it's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of energy, but like, and I would say in closing, you know, we have to kind of eliminate, and I say I'm saying Black people, white people, eliminate the noise and focus on the truth and reality, and understand that like we don't know enough. None of us know enough, and we have to kind of educate and get to know more about like each other. Like I need to get to know more about what makes, you know, Becky down the street click, she needs to get to know what makes me click. And I think,
and be willing to, though. It's the willingness.
Yeah, you got to kind of be able to do that, because at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people, even our neighbor, I've been in my neighborhood for 18 years, and people move in the neighborhood and they stay in their little nooks, and they don't want to kind of blend in, and that's what made New York beautiful. And New York was like, you know, it didn't matter, you would experience each other. So in closing, I would just say kind of be prepared to be uncomfortable, so that we can kind of blend what this America, which really is a blended nation, right, by default or by plan, whatever it was, so we could, you know, make real change.
I love that. And on that note, like, you know, there's so many people I've seen in like the South Bronx, which is changing, being gentrified for the most part. You're seeing people who are not of color walk on the other side of the street of people who are color because they think there's going to be some kind of riffraff. But, sweetie, we've been here. This has been here before you came. You are being welcomed into our neighborhood.
Yeah.
So respect that.
Yeah.
You know? So, and don't treat us like outcasts because this is home for us. You just came from the Midwest. You just came from your little small town, and you're bringing your small town ideas to a place that didn't need it in the first place. So respect that. And that's my closing statement to everything everyone said. I'll see you soon. We're going to work on this magic. We're doing some magic with A-Life. Follow A-Life New York. Thank you to all my guests who came on today. 6,559 people who are watching.
Awesome.
And
Thank you.
Yeah, more to come. Episode 5. We are closing out one live. So, deuces. Later.
Bye.
Thank you. Later. We out.